Yep. First off, I let you know that I do this for real. Yep, if you can. If you can. Put that right there. Yeah, we just getting here. I'm just getting everything set up. Peace, Noble A Bay. Peace, Noble. Peace and love, brother. Peace and love. Peace and love to your family. Peace and love to all your endeavors. And may the benefit of Allah continue to illuminate and magnify everything that you touch. May the Holy Spirit touch you, your family, and everyone around you. Man, I am doing amazing, Noble. Give me 1 second, brother. Whoa. But I'm doing amazing, man. I had an amazing day. I got a lot accomplished. I was able to meet some new students today because a lot of my ex-professors, they have my like name in a vestibule, like in a writing lab and a computer lab. And I just have an honor to be able to tutor students, no matter what color they are, especially when they take in religious studies and business classes. And so I really can care less how anybody feel about what I'm saying. This is scholarship, and nothing's new. Everything is written. And the saying still goes, Brother Bay. If you want to hide something from the misnomer Negro, put all the wisdom in the book. Because we won't read. And then Negroes, I've heard Negroes say this to me. Or you think you know it all because you read some books. I don't believe nothing in it. I've read too many books to believe anything in a book. I've read and researched and had the pleasure to study on all levels to believe anything in a book without scholarly research and to remove my. You see? And so when I operate, when I come on here and I tell everyone, I'm not that type of Moor that people see on the internet arguing and all those people that reinvented themselves and now they talk about your social security is attached to this and they did all this. But these people be looked at as crazy. And they be having to get psych evaluations. And then after they do all that, you ask them, their bank account hasn't changed, their life hasn't changed, their lifestyle hasn't changed, but they tell you to do all this and do all this to get you to pay for something that you shouldn't even be doing. Because your religious rights trump everything. And Bobby Hemmett told these Negroes that y'all they paper terrorists. I tell everybody this. All that paper stuff, it's meaningless. And so I'm not that type of Moor. I'm an educated Moor. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I understand. I've been through a lot of the same stuff my brothers and sisters have. But if we say we educated and we know some things, then we should go challenge academia and challenge the other man. Challenge the European Mason. Challenge the Al Islam, so-called Middle East Muslim. Challenge the European Jew or the Anglo-Saxon Jew from their research and see what they say. Because all this fighting, when people say, oh, the Moors did this, things happen in history. We're talking about history. And in the continent of Africa, you still got so-called blacks, militia, killing people in neighborhoods, genocide. I told people how Leopold used the fez and as part of his army uniform. I showed people Hitler and his regiment wore the fez and studied Islam. We ain't saying nothing. And Negroes killing each other today, right now, B. So when I ask Moors where they get these things from, before I even get into the books, I'll be asking brothers, let's be honest with what's going on. And we shouldn't be acting like we dealing with this is like some how can I say, popularity contest. You should even care how popular your teacher is. Your teacher shouldn't even be popular. Your teacher should be matter factual and lead the way, as a map and a guide, as a sensei, as a shaman, as a medicine man. He or she should teach the way, not get you to do some dumb stuff. Man, Moorish Science is nobody, no prophet, no teacher, nobody that say they part of the Moorish Science Temple have ever been doing this stuff that these Negroes with feathers on be doing on TikTok. Talking about expatriate from the de facto government. That's asinine. Okay, ask them goofballs when they expatriate from the de facto government, who do they have affiliates with? No one. They are domestic terrorists. And they not no foreign national. That's an oxymoron as well. No, God, man, no, there's no reason to do all these things that they doing. Follow this paperwork and all that. Why? Tell me anyone that understands their religious rights follow anything that's already done. When I tell people, you are a willing obligor when you participate in a game. You should know how to defend yourself from out of your mouth. Proclaim, declaring how due process, the religious laws. So all this paper signing, you pretty much putting yourself back in slavery because you don't know. And these is keys. And brothers won't sit down and have intellectual conversations and real conversations and really open up the law books and really open up the chamber from wisdom with people that's unbiased and be like, man, your brother, your sheik is telling you exactly. Forget the Moorish stuff. I'm telling you what's matter factual. No one's over here is no damn consulate general of Morocco. No goofball Negro over here in Maryland, wherever these Negroes say they are, is no consulate general of Morocco. Who in the hell voted you the consulate general of Morocco? Don't you know when they portraying these images, they can get swooped up. I show people this stuff. The 1099 is no trust fund at the end of the rainbow. That's a religious affidavit. You can get it from the CCRD, the County Clerk Recorder of Deeds. You can get it official or unofficial. I've read it so much. I share it with people. I give it to people. So when anybody get on the internet talk about, the 1099 is a trust fund at the end of the rainbow, you need to be looking at them like, man, this person is a straight up fool. Why? Because a teacher already explained it eloquently with a silver tongue that no 1099 ain't no stupid trust fund at the end of the rainbow. It's only a religious affidavit. These is facts. And if you know, and I give you the state booklet that show how the prophet set the temple up. In the state booklet, you got a brother that's in there, peace be among them. His name was Marcel Walden L. And when people be saying Moors don't pay taxes, well, he went to prison for having people not for filing fake taxes. And the court made an example out of him. See, this is the stuff I know. All this stuff is bullcrap. And what they doing, they following some European Albion stuff. His name is Roger Elvig. That sovereign citizen European militia stuff, research Roger Elvig. Research the Paradigm Group in Canada. These what these Negroes is doing to y'all. You know how I know? You can go on TikTok right now. It's not just Moors saying that outlandish stuff. It's Europeans, Albions, Trelodike, Anglo-Saxons saying the same noise. And you see Negroes on the internet, oh, I need that, I need that, I need that, in their comments. I say, y'all Negroes is crazy. And everybody on here know I'm telling the truth. So if that's something exclusive for Moor, this is the Moor's law. Well, why in the hell Europeans do it? I call them militia. You can go on CSI and pull up the episode of the Europeans talking that same shit, excuse my candor, that these sovereign Negroes, these sovereign citizen Negroes be doing with the feds on. And that's an oxymoron. You ain't no sovereign citizen at no same time. And this is what I be telling people. Why we just can't tell the truth? It's people that been promulgating that they gonna expatriate from the de facto government. When you expatriate from the de facto government, that means you are stateless, foreign and abroad. That means you are a domestic terrorist. Don't you know that? And you will sit up and listen to a goofball tell you that? You see what I'm saying? That's asinine. That's like when you want to revoke your nationality and do that, you look like a communist. You look like you want to go against America. be telling people, oh, I'm going to expatriate from the de facto government. Okay, then what? But you still live here with your retarded ass. And you don't have no dual citizenship. Why would you do some of the most stupidest stuff like that? Oh, I'm going to expatriate from the de facto government, but then won't say who told you that stupid stuff to get you in trouble. You see? And everybody should feel good when I say this. Why? Because I ain't selling you nothing. I'm saving lives. And then I ask people who they get this stuff from. And there's people still promulgating this stuff right now. There's still people promulgating this stuff. I don't even show my ID card from the Moorish Zion Temple of America. I don't even show that stuff. I don't even ride with, I don't even carry my adapt paper. I don't even ride with none of that stuff. I show people this. I show people my adapt paper. I don't have to because it don't mean nothing. If I'm not going to teach right, it's meaningless. It's paper. That's why I be saying if anybody that be saying they from the temple, then you should know when I teach the science of Moorish science, which is just your nationality and your spirituality, teaching our brothers that they not Negro, black, or color. All the rest of this stuff is what? Don't say civics. It's some bull crap you got off the internet. Some Roger Elvick criminal overthrow the government shit. That's where people got it from. And then I ask y'all, what Moors told y'all to do this? Nobody will say. But I know it. I'll be waiting for them clowns to get on my page. I don't care who they follow. I don't care who their followers are. They ain't going to say that to no Europeans. They ain't going to say it to no judges. Them Negroes going to get in front of the police and talk about a whole bunch of Jekyll Island stupid shit while you ride around here without no license and insurance and get abused. Doing stuff that's meaningless. I never tell nobody to do something that they don't understand. If that's what you want to do and you want to have that fight, that's on you. But that's not uplifting for us. That ain't raising humanity, doing no stupid stuff like that. Well, how is that raising humanity? Listen to this. When Negroes say this day neighborhood, but you live in a neighborhood with bylaws, local and state laws, riding around talking about you security. Of what neighborhood? They got police. And if it's a neighborhood, they got their patrol or their security. So what you doing is fraudulent. I'm trying to tell people this is this simple. A lot of people just haven't went all the way yet. Look how stupid these people be when they on the internet, these grown people, because these not little kids on the internet committing what? Fraud, mail fraud. They doing exactly what Big U knew them in prison for. On the internet, running their mouth. Everybody know everything that these people doing, the person that established it went to prison. Roger Elvick. And then the Europeans Paradigm Group, they went to prison. So why would you want to do that? And tell me what that's going to do for you. I'll wait. Tell me why would you think you some foreign national? I'll wait. How are you a foreign national? That's an oxymoron. Nobody, you ain't no foreign national. If something happened to you right now, you going to jail. You ain't getting expedited to your home country. Your ass going straight to jail. And any one of them Negroes talk about they expatriated from the de facto government, it's only a matter of time for you be in the FEMA camp. Come on, somebody ask me something. I ain't even got any wisdom yet. I mean, this is what I be telling. I said, man, anybody want the state booklet, I'll give it to you. People don't know. They be making stuff up. Look, it was people that said that they was the Moorish consulate, and everybody act like they don't know what I be talking about. I say, well, y'all the ones that got caught up with them people. I don't respect no young person or no old person. I don't respect nobody that premeditated to hustle you. And then when people bring it up, people be acting like, oh, that's slander. That ain't no goddamn slander. Excuse my candor. It's the truth. If you promulgated something and somebody said they got this from this, and I'm telling you, it's all criminal stuff. Like if you hustling in the streets, and I say, hey man, that dude you did getting your work from is a federal informant. You gonna say, oh no, he been selling me birds for cheap. I just told you, fool, you ain't gonna even research what I'm saying. And that's why I be asking these people, are y'all groupies or are y'all students? Are you a groupie or are you a student? Because to believe something what somebody's saying, I mean, you got to have confidence in that. So you telling me you have confidence in that, I call that those semantics and that hogwash, and you will let somebody like that defend you before me? Or give you information to tell you don't even do that from the giddy up? When a person talk about they cancel corporate debt, and I ask them where you get that from. Because I tell you, you don't have no corporate debt. No nigga don't have no corporate debt. And then these Negroes we talk about, and then I tell you squatters have no rights in the state of Florida, and Negroes don't be wanting to listen. People be lying. Don't nobody live in no neighborhood that have the local and state laws without paying taxes and stuff, or your house will be in foreclosure. They lying too. Now we have land in the middle of Arizona and Vegas in Mojave, Arizona, and we pay our land deed, and the land is in. We have 10 acres. I keep telling people that religious laws trump anything. When you research things, a lot of times, like when you research marriage law, when I be talking about the Amish and stuff, you have to read it all and understand the context. Now, if you choose to be a willing obligor and say this fits you, that's your fault. That means you don't know how to explain. That's on you. That ain't for me to argue with you because you have a lack of understanding and you haven't sat down and you will argue with someone because a person will let you do that. But what I'm telling you, what you have the right to do. You have the right not to bring a third party in a contract or your agreement. And that's what a marriage license is. What? It's a third party contract. Let me grab something. Let me see something. Let me see if I got something for y'all. Yep, I got it too. I got it. Watch this. This is what I'll be talking about, y'all. Truth and falsehood strangely mixed. I say I study everything. Why? Because I'm supposed to. It's like when I had the pleasure to study the Zulu, under the Credo Mature Wisdom, and it was like, well, a medicine man is a person that can come back to the community and teach mathematics, reading, arithmetic, gardening, and show the babies food can be productive. Almost like when Haile Selassie sent a lot of his students to the Americas and they went back to Ethiopia, Abyssinia, and became leaders. But I study and read everything, and I don't take everything as truth. Just like in here, you have to have an eye. It's truth in here, but it's some things that's personal. And I don't deal with the personal aspect. I deal with the wisdom. You can ask any of my muftis. They say, well, Sheikh don't agree with things just because it's written. They say Sheikh is an educator. So in here, it's some things that's said, but I don't agree all the way in it because I understand true history. When I talk about America in black and white, when I talk about the people that was in the Congress and all those things, when I talk about Peter Salmon and Oliver Cromwell and the Battle of Bunker Hill, I give our melanated brothers credit, but in here it says that our prophet said to go after you do. Let me see, can I find it? And I'm like, and I'm like, that, no, I have documents to show you what now, and I'm going to correct it. Our prophet said, if you don't want to abide by your teachings, aka your religious laws that I, the prophet, gave you, then go to the city hall and marry your wives. That's why I said the temple, and when they say the temple was infiltrated, yeah, for people that's truth and falsehood. When you had type of Freemasons that come in with that stuff and you assimilate with the courts and you don't have to, I'm telling you, you don't. You know, they say the prophet sent marriage laws to all temples. And then when it says the prophet, you'll be like, well, the prophet said that. But how do we know? Because I got documents clearly stating that our prophet didn't tell you to go get no marriage law. He said go buy your Moorish Quran, how to do the ceremony with your sheikh. And then if it's set up right, you do everything under your temple. Your agreement comes from your temple. If you wanted to have on some paper, then your religious said do that. How hard is that? That's not even hard. And that's what I be telling people. I be like, man, y'all stop the cap and stop sending people in the burning house. Then they be getting all butt hurt. because I get my European colleagues next to me, they won't say nothing. They'll be like, well, yeah, yeah. You will go on Google and read something and think and be like, well, see, but read it all. Read it all. If the religious laws trump stuff, then I don't have to deal with that. So who cares? Now, do I want to put it in the paper on notice so people can know in publication if that's what you want to do? It says all marriage ceremonies of members of the Moorish Zion Temple of America must be performed by an ordained minister and the head of the temple. And any man desiring to make unto himself a wife and receive our Moorish rights, he must go to the city hall and receive his license to be registered in that city, county, or state. Nah. It then must be turned over to the hands of the aforesaid ordained minister and the head of the temple after it has been properly signed by the city officials. Why need to be signed by the city officials? Why? Why need to be signed? Why? Because marriage, man don't do a union. So why need to be signed by city officials? The price therefore for such administering to man and wife will be $5. So now you're going to charge me $5? The court's going to charge you too. For all those who have their papers and desire our Moorish marriage ceremony, it is $3. What? We Moors cannot marry anyone. Okay, now they say we Moors cannot marry anyone, but we obligate you according to your divine laws and covenant and laws of the land. Your divine laws and covenant. Your divine laws and covenant. Yeah, I know. And then when you go to the court, what you just did is what? Signed a third-party contract as a willing obligor. What you mean? You just signed a third-party contract as a willing obligor. Just like when you go to the hospital and you have a baby and you say, oh, I don't want my kid to have no shots and all this stuff. You can't say that when you done went into their house. You can't say that. You don't have a midwife? No, well, that's your fault. Because the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. Research the Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, and see if I'm telling you anything that's bogus. You the one who went to the hospital. You did that. Ain't nobody force you. You did that. You went that, and they cut the umbilical cord instead of letting it fall off. You did that. You abide by their rules. If they say your kid got to get these shots, or they give your kid all these shots in there, yeah, because that's their rules. Not knowing if your child allergic to this, that, other, blah, blah, blue, bleep, bleep, whoop-de-whoop. That's on you. That's why I say the importance, when I say clock of destiny, of having people in this in our teaching and our schooling that we bring things back to our remembrance. And we know how to do things. The girls know how to be midwives. Men too. We know how we get our own clothing from our own set to become wealthy and bring back in our community. We buy houses and plight in our neighborhood. We teach the classes to do this. This is what I'm telling people, man. Like, it's a lot that comes with a real temple in school. But they say they can't marry with no one. So to everyone in the temple, that will be no misunderstanding. Peace, Noble Brian. There will be no misunderstanding about I, the prophet. They keep saying I, the prophet, and my teachings, because Allah alone binds two hearts together as a unit. So if Allah the only one that binds two in one, then why should we go to the courts? Tell me, why should you go to the city hall and get a marriage license? Why? We ain't Roman. You know? That's why I tell people, I said, I went through the fire for all my brothers and sisters. And I'm not going to allow, if you want to go through any temple in your area, which it might not be none, and be under rhetoric, that's on you. But here, it's a group of Moors and brothers that know who they are. It's a group of Israelites. It's a group of brothers that know who they are, that can stand strong, that understand their nationality and spirituality, and agree on some things. And not be out here acting stupid. We don't have to go to the city hall. When we have our babies, we willingly go to the damn hospitals. I wish my Noble Dantes come on here, because when my Noble Dantes had his beautiful young noble, we had a whole discussion when he was going through that process. I said, Dantes, well, understand what we're doing. This would be a teaching and a learning lesson for others. When we do things and we use others, how can I say, facilities, we are, how can we say, we're under the jurisdiction of those laws. That's why I say, that's why I tell people, do we read contracts? Do we look at things? Do we have a clear understanding? Do we have the aptitude to read and understand before we sign anything? See? You see what I'm saying, Dre Sean? That's one of my brothers. What I be telling people. I be like, dude, can't nobody. I'm not here to tell nobody what to do. I got Amish homeboys when I first got into going to land, going up to northern Arizona, up there. When I first moved out to Arizona, when I met this Amish dude named Khalid, and he was just staring at me because I always used to wear my fez, and he'd see me talking to the professors and blah 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 blah, and we just kicked it. And he was like, man, he's like, man, my people got 100 acres. And you know me, like 100 acres. I'm like, 100 acres where? You're like in St. John, Arizona. He's like, yeah, your wife should come visit me. I said, for real? He said, yeah. When his phone showed me pictures, my jaw dropped. He's like, yeah, we grow our own food and everything. He said, you see this outfit? He said, we grow this. He said, we know what wood to burn, blah, blah, blah. Wooty, wooty, woo, blah, they splee. Man, blew my mind. Blew my mind. And so, I jumped the gun at first because, I was working a couple jobs, as I still do, but I was actually physically going to work. And I was like, babe, I'm finna buy 40 acres. And my emperor was like, what the hell you gonna do with 40 acres? I said, I don't know. But I said, it's a used car. I said, the price of these 40 acres is a used car. I said, I gotta figure out. So, I did the deal, then it was just hard for me. I couldn't do nothing with it. I was trying to bring people in, to go in on the land that I had. I tried to ask people, hey man, I got these 40 acres, come on the land with me and let me show you what we have. You can go on my YouTube channel and see me and my empress on the 40 acres. And so I kind of got over my head with it, and then I flipped it. I mean, I'm always be honest, I flipped it. I didn't lose. My emperor was like, babe, just flip it. She was like, everybody see what you're doing. She's like, at this time, you weren't ready, but you see what you can do. So I didn't lose. I sold it to a group of people that was happy that I did it. They was like, brother, thank you, and blah, 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 blah. They were like, because I knew where the land was at. I looked at it, me and my wife. I knew how easy it is to build on it. I knew it wouldn't flood. It was good for growing certain things, especially if you wanted to grow hops. Hops grow up there. A sage grow up there. I get all my sage still from my Amish people. But yeah, man. And so as I met my brothers, my muftis, me and my Noble Malik and Noble Lamarck, they came out here and visit. I was like, y'all, we can get more land together. And they was like, Sheik, you serious? I said, yes. So we went looking for land. Some we didn't like, some we didn't like. But the land we got right now, 10 acres in the middle of Arizona and Vegas, is prime real estate. And so that's what we did, and we continue to do things. On the land you have now, you can hook your I forget what type of water system thing they got, but I have to show people. But this is what I'll be telling people. Let's finish. But chapter 22 from our Quran is to be read first to the husband, and chapter 21 is to be read secondly to the wife. These are the instructions of marriage for our holy Qurans. Please obey the law as given to you by your prophet through your governor. So now, I'm telling you, when I show, and I don't have, because I got to show and prove, I don't have time to pull out all them documents, man. I got so much stuff, but I will do it when I prepare tomorrow. If I have, I'm gonna have time at this time, because I got busy now. I can't do nothing in the day until about like noon. But and I'm gonna show y'all, like, our prophet didn't tell us to go to no city council and get no mayor's license and have those people in on our contract. Why in the hell would you want some city officials on your marriage contract? And then if they ain't the city officials no more and they still on your marriage license, then what? Like, is that stupid? Yes, you don't have to do that. And our prophet didn't tell you to go marry your wife in the city, get a marriage license. He said, if you didn't want to abide by the instructions from me, the prophet, go to the city hall and marry your wife. That's what the teaching said. And I don't mean to disrespect no one and say, it's some good stuff in here. Is there some good stuff in here? Yes, it is some good stuff in here. But I tell people, just like rat poison, the rat not just gonna go to straight poison. Just like the exhumed other nation. It's some good stuff in here. It's some good stuff in here. But it's also some things that, as a map and a guide in the flesh today, because I'm alive, I can add value to and give credit what credit to do. But I can say, with all due respect, we can go here. And I can show you some things. You'd be like, I see. Because I don't have a religious dogmatic eye. And I'm not orthodox. You know? I'm not orthodox. So I'm not going to come with my perspective or some perspective from some person and all that. Because I tell you, I'm a Tasawwuf, I'm Sufi. I'm a Buddhist. You know, I don't believe in nothing outside of myself. Anything outside of myself is true shirk. I'm a shaman. So I understand all the religious right, the Fatimid, the Paraclete, the Jerusalem, the Christian. I understand all that. I understand, but I don't gravitate to that. So I want to clear some stuff up because I don't want to get caught up. People acting like they got some special magical power. You know what I mean? Because if a teacher is a teacher, what term, Carlin? What term you talking about you just learned last week, Noble? Oh, shirk. Yeah, absolutely. If a teacher gonna teach and lead the way, as a shaman, as a medicine man, as a Sufi, as a sensei, lead the way. It's no magical. Like this, what I be telling people is old wisdom, and it's universal. So y'all remember how what's my man named Terrence Howard was trying to act like he got some secret wisdom, and some secret power, right? And then he brought it to the scientist. I forget the scientist's name, and I'm paraphrasing the story. And the scientist said, "Well, brother Terrence Howard gave the scientist some information that Terrence Howard act like he came up with." Yeah, no disrespect. And I said the story before. Just like if someone give me something, and I'll be like, okay, yeah, but this comes from this. And all my colleagues, we're in this realm. We be like, yeah, this is this. And then I say, what? But I say, you know what? Your drawings on your last page are some beautiful piece of work. Wherever you got that from, that's some beautiful artwork. He's being gratitude because he know that I know that I know that he know. Us as scholars and educators that's in that realm know where them pictures come from. Yeah. Right here. And where it is come from is more science. This ain't nothing but compass and square. I be telling people. That's why I be saying, why you give your science to other people? Why do Moors be saying that they sheiks and they say, well, the white man is? I said, that's sad. And I keep telling brothers and sisters, if you get any of my European scholars, they'll tell you that they are son of a Muslim. This our science. This is where this stuff come from. You see the Unkiness. It's all what? The Osiris mysteries. I showed people remember I showed y'all the little book? Remember I showed y'all this? Remember I showed y'all this? What you see on here? What you see on here? What you see on here? See, they can come with all the little connotated words they want, all the little words and all that. But when I come with supreme wisdom, I say, man, I don't care how nobody feel. I'm showing you what it is. What you see on here. The European Mason, El Elyon. What do you call itself? El Eros. Hey, watch this. Watch this. I'm not going to get on. I'm just going to give you a little bit. Watch this. The Osirian scriptures. The Osirian scriptures are incorporated in and given through the Order of the Knights Templars of Aquarius, which now has members throughout the world. It was founded by El Eros, El Era in London in 1954. See, that's modern. But I trump all that later. On the directions of the Master Masons, who are the builders of the true spiritual knowledge upon the earth plane. Remember I told y'all the Ethiopian Rabbi Abdullah, the one taught Neville Goddard. So keep that in your hippocampus. Even Adam Blavatsky and all that. See, everybody be talking about, oh, Norwood Drew Ali got this from this. Man, Adam Blavatsky, just like a lot of them, were nothing but transcribers. And then I'll pull out the history of where they got it from, and the documents and the videos. These received their instructions direct from the creative God force, which permits all that is in the great expanding universe. Now listen to this. By H.C. Randolph Stevens, El Eros. El Eros. Keep that in your hippocampus. The Book of Truth, or the Voice of Osiris. The Dogon star over the pyramid, and they more in the middle is love. Yeah, that's right. I keep telling y'all, every European Mason, they'll tell you that they are son of a Muslim. They are son of a Muslim. Go on my YouTube video or pull up on YouTube the European, the Mason giving credit to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. Yes, I'm telling you. Like, remember, with all due respect, when I see most of my European Masons, when I say shut the light out, I don't be meaning it in disrespect. I be meaning when I travel and things, I know most of them. And I tell people I'm 99 degrees. You don't see me on the internet talking crazy like no sovereign citizen. I get love. Yeah, they do. I got the documents. The NOI know everything I'm talking about. I showed y'all the document, the Negro, aka the Blackamoor, and I showed y'all when I was. I can't pull it out. I got it somewhere. And I showed you it passed out to the Nation of Islam in the 30s and the 60s. I prove everything I'm saying. Can't nobody be mad. Can no one be mad? Everything I talk about is there. It's proven. It's there. They just know that you don't know, that I know. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I don't got no reason to tell nobody no bull crap. The teachings of Osiris. Who? The teachings of Osiris. The Book of the Truth. Original teachings received from the master Adolami. It also incorporates the laws of Atlantis and the commandments of Osiris, aka Moses, from the Chronicles of Osiris. I'm trying to tell you. The Wisdom of the Soul. That was published in 1956. It provides the student with an esoteric and an exoteric viewpoint of the law of nature. The edition is an explanation of the painting by El Era, which is reproduced in full color and forms the front piece. The final chapter incorporates world protents given through the master Wunfuru. All Osiris mysteries. I'm trying to tell you. So when they come with the crap, I say, dude, no. I'll lecture this in academia. These Europeans know, Albion, Trilodite, whatever you want to call Anglo-Saxon, they know. Just like Manly P. Hall know. Just like when I tell you all about the Philosophical Research Society that I'm a member of, dude, wait till I go down there and do a lecture. But when I go where the members at, I'm just telling people, no, I'm telling you, the Philosophical Research Society. I can take anybody there. It's open to the public. The story of Atlantis. I'm talking about Osiris, Isis. I mean, come on, man. I'm not going to stay too far in it, but I'm showing you. I have, in every book that I show y'all, in my academic endeavor, ask my muftis, any of my muftis on here, what I did, I turned all these books to ebooks, just like Google did. Google spent $25 million. I don't have $25 million, but my lecture was, I said, I'm going to make $25 million before I die. Once I, start going to Europe and things, once stuff happened, because I know what I'm doing. It's a lot of books that they done took chapters out. They took page 300 and I have to look at Bertram Thomas' book called The Arab. They took that whole chapter out, but I got all the originals. Could they be mad? That's why I said, I don't care about no troll. Psh, right here. A lot of stuff is wrapped up, and it says, you see right here on the cover what it's all about. And then when Terrence Howard be talking that old magical stuff, it's only this. And the European, if the author was on here, because he called himself Melchizedek, he'll put the light on and be like, well, brother, yes. With no disrespect, with all love. That's why I be saying, why would we give our science to somebody act like they more heavier than your own brother? When I tell you, when I show you, when I break the science down, I broke the science down in masonry. Our pentagram is straight up. The pentagram in the Daughters of American Revolution, or our empresses that's Negro Masons that wear the white fez, theirs turned sideways with two horns up. They don't have two arms, two legs, and one head. You see, well, y'all see what y'all looking at, and everybody know I'm telling the truth. Everybody know I'm telling the truth. I mean, I can show the spirit and the sacred geometry. See, this is what Terrence Howard was talking about. We can, and that's why I be telling people cut the crap. That's why I'll let anybody go first. And I said I'll never debate no one. That's lower energy. I wouldn't embarrass my brother. And only people I debate is my equals. And just because a person saw something or thinks something, man, when you're dealing with scholarship, and if I say I'm in that realm and I break it down and I say, brother, calm down, I'm gonna show you what you're talking about. I'm gonna show you that your science is nothing but elementary science, and the people in this realm that understand the language is gonna agree. It's not disrespect. It's just telling you to stay in your lane. Respect. If we dealing with scholarship, it's called the third informational system in the fruit of life. When they talk about the circles and the squares of human consciousness, and it draws out that pictorial. You know, I can't break it all down, but remember, this is also Egyptian mysteries too, right? According to Thoth, all levels of consciousness in the universe are what? Integrated by a single image in sacred geometry, right? So when these Moors talk about they sheiks, that's stupid, like putting a circle in a square. Well, it can. Because the so-called, in Kemetic science, the so-called, you say the Europeans tools, those are two tools. That's a compass and a square. Move them apart. You don't know how to use them? No, we know that. So just say that. Just say that. But don't give our science to no one else because you don't know how to use the tools. And you ain't know how to use them in elementary. You was in elementary, you had one of the tools on your pencil. It's the key to time, space, and dimensions, as well as consciousness itself, and as well as travel. Remember, Thoth also said that even emotions and thoughts are based on what? Sacred geometry. But the subject will have, I can go further, because I'd start talking about water. My noble Brian know what I'm talking about. Remember, for each level of consciousness, it's an associated geometry that completely defines how the specific level of consciousness will interrupt the one reality. I'm not going to stay all in that, but I'm just showing you. Even, oh man, I should have brought, even, see, so every time I speak, man, so much stuff pop in my head, and I have a reference of it. I got to show this other reference. I'm sorry. I have to do this because this is the only way I can teach. Right here. Right here. This right here is saying the same thing. And if anybody everything I have all these available. I converted them to ebooks. I'm telling you, I have more books than any doctoral library. I have over 1 million books and documents in database. Point blank. Everything I talk about, I have it available. That's why as I continue to, I don't want to say become popular, but as I continue to be beckoned and sought after in academia with a lot of students for having the wisdom and the books and tutoring, and I'm doing it for small prices because no one want to buy these books, and I'm making them available as ebooks on their tablets, and then a lot of students learn how to print and bind them, and they doing it themselves. What I'm doing is, like all the students say this, I have something for value, and I'm filling a void. And so that's why I tell my brothers and sisters, help me. You know? If brothers say they study this thing, you don't have to go to Amazon and get nothing. Brother be saying, oh, I like to read the books. Yeah, I hear that. But this technology, you would say, oh, I want a rotary phone. And we using technology. You can have all your books in your tablet. If you want to print them, you can go print and bind them. But come on, most people is not going to buy a lot of the books that I have. That's expensive. And why would you want to do that? Print it and bind it. We print them and bind them. We print them and bind them just like this. For the same price Office Max and Staple would do it for. You see? But this show you how the temple of man. You know? And it's a beautiful piece of wisdom. You know? I'm telling you. They be knowing. I can put both of these together. I've lectured it so many times. You see? And it's your science. In the Bible, what did Moses study? What did Moses teach Aaron? Moses will study and learn in all the wisdom of what? The Egyptians. Look what you see. Look what you see all in this symbology. So when anybody comes with the cap, we should be done. We should be done. This should be going viral. Look now, I'm going to show you something. Plan of the Temple of Luxor. And now this is in the ancient secret of the flower of life. When I watch this, I told y'all, this is what right here. What do you see at the bottom? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? Now where you gonna see that again? Boop! Right there. That's why I said the scholarship is gonna agree. If you know how to synchronize it. That's why I be laughing at brothers and sisters. And most of these Europeans is Masons and all that. That's why I be like, dude, we ain't gonna diss nothing. We ain't gonna give it to no one that's gonna hide it from you. I'm gonna give it all to you. I'm gonna break all our science down. That's why I said when brothers and sisters want to be a part of something, it's right here. Why can't we have our own temple? And I got a charter. Once the brothers and sisters understand what we're doing, we can't be stopped. Why? Because we lawful. This whole piece of wisdom breaks everything down. You know? I'm telling y'all, I got some stuff I'm working on, man. We clean up a lot of teachings. I don't want to stay too long, and I just want to show you. But yeah, that. And then, you know, you got 2 chapters, you got 2 volumes of it. You know? As you seeing the man with all his extremities. Symbology. That's why I be saying, like, no, man, we ain't gonna do that. We can't let nobody do that to us. So, here goes one of these books. Remember I told you I'm gonna do this for y'all. The Chosen One. We on good time. Now, remember this book. Chosen One. This book will open your eyes. I don't know if anybody have the pleasure of reading this or having it, but I lecture this in academia a plethora of times. You know? Let me show y'all something. Everyone know what I'm talking about. Children of the Commandment Keepers study Hebrew letters and the Hebrew language. New York Historical Society. Photography by Alex Alan. When people be talking about what we were studying, what kids was being taught. I mean, we the only group of people that'll be arguing with each other, calling people traitors and traitors. Traitors or what? People be calling people, well, what, a traitor or what? What you talk about? Because you don't agree? Members of Harlem, Commandment Keepers, Church of the Living God, the Pillar and Ground of Truth, New York Historical Society, by Alexander Aled. Watch, I'm going to synchronize something. You're going to be like, well, wait a minute, sheep. You're going to be like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, watch this. Rabbi Matthew and rabbis and the members of the Commandment Keepers of Harlem, the woman's headdress and robes are similar to those worn in black spiritual churches and in Church of the Living God, while the men heads covering are like those worn in Ashkenazic and Sephardic synagogues. New York Historical Society. Photography by Alexander Aland. And then, but you would hear Negroes that just talking, and the people, they were traitors. Tell me what these people were traitors of. Just tell me. That's why I be saying Negroes just be talking. Just tell me. Watch this. I'm going to show y'all another picture. Well, I got a couple more in here. Y'all see this picture? Y'all see this picture right here? Take a good look at this brother. Y'all know who that is? That's the Ethiopian Rabbi Abdullah. When I showed y'all Neville Gooder's teacher, and then I showed y'all the book. It's a book too, that the European, the Albion wrote. He a Mason. All my muftis got it. Y'all know what book I'm talking about. When people be like, well, is that him? I'm showing you right here. And let me read what it says. This Rabbi Ford in a turban. Turbans were commonly used in black spiritual churches and signified the mystical East when used by black religious magical workers. Reproduced from B.Z. Goldberg's A Negro Bris. I hope y'all hear what I just said. Reproduction from B.Z. Goldberg's A Negro Bris, but not Brith magazine, New York, 41, number 11, August 1927, page 465. I just gave y'all a reference. If you can look, you can find that. Because that's what I do with my lecture. Quad in a church mouse. I was showing brothers with the talent on, everything. They were quad in a church mouse. My professor was laughing. That's why I said, why would my brothers and sisters sit up here and argue with me? Like, why? Why would we do that to each other? But then my own brothers be looking like a fool and they have to apologize. Look at this. Now watch. I'm gonna show y'all two pictures. This is a famous picture everybody like to show. Y'all see that? Y'all see what's in the background? You see that American flag and a so-called Israel flag before Israel was created, a country, state, whatever. You see it in the background? You see the rabbi with his tallit on? You see what it say in the background? More Zionist temple of the more Zionist Jews. You see that choir? You see that choir? You see the choir? You know the Moorish Zionist Temple of America had a choir. Now I started thinking about the time period. I just showed you the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews, Rabbi Mordecai Herman, and the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Moorish Jews in 1920s, Harlem, photographed by James Van Der Zee. And then when I show y'all the picture in the Negro, aka the Blackamoor, with all the Moors, all the different brothers with their different headdresses on. And I said, yes, this is the Moorish Ishmaelites. It's like, what we tripping on? Like, what we got a problem on? They telling you they the Moorish Jews. What we tripping on? And then I don't have no problem with an Egyptian Jew. I don't have no problem with a Hebrew Jew. I mean a Hebrew Moor. I don't have no problem with that. You still a Moor when we talking about who our nationality. You can be an Egyptian Moor if that's the science you under. Because I'll show you when all the brothers came together, when they created the temple, all the different masons and everything. What do I show y'all? I show y'all all them brothers coming together. Man, I have to get my tablet. The Negro, aka the Blackamoor. It's in there. And everybody know I'm telling the truth. Everybody know. I said, man, we gonna let these people play this stupid game with us? Well, not with us. Not with me. I stay far away from that crap. I stay far away from the goofy stuff. Because I know people be liking characters. And I don't want to hurt nobody. I'll be like, dude, I just say in general. I said, anybody come in acting like they got some special badge number, some AA22 number, and they done said something to the police, and they get in front of college, a whole bunch of college students, and say that crap, man, I ain't dealing with you. I ain't dealing with you with that stupid stuff. I can't. Because I know what it's all about. And I'm from the temple. And I'm like, dude, that's hogwash. That's hogwash. Let's proceed. Thomas Jefferson Quran. Thomas Jefferson got a Quran? Yeah, Thomas Jefferson got a Quran. Oh man, I wish I would have had my blue Quran. How they called you a Berber, a pirate, a Corsican? From G to Shine, from Tripoli, the war with the Moors. But I'm going to read something in here. When I be telling y'all them Freemason Negroes, excuse my candor, be acting like they don't be knowing what I be talking about. Because when they be using acacia leaf and they act like they don't know where that acacia leaf come from and who tomb is in front of, I'll be like, man, I can't play with brothers that be playing stupid. I can't. Now this is from Denise Spiller. And she was like, ooh, she was all studying Thomas Jefferson. You know, Jefferson and his many founding colleagues and the shift tolerance, liberty, blah, blah, blah. But in this groundbreaking book, Spellberg explores how America's founding founders intended religious tolerance as a key, blah, blah, blah. But let me go down a little bit. As her book explores how tolerant attitudes towards Catholic, Jews, and Muslims led key early American thinkers to consider religious freedom in the widest possible terms. It offers a crucial corrective to those who today resist the nation's inherent blueprint for religious pluralism. In tracing the transatlantic slave trade, Atlantic development of these ideas, Spielberg has laid critical groundwork for those interested in European and American perceptions of Islam and religious diversity and the time of the founding fathers of the United States. Ali Asani, professor and director of the Prince Alawaleed bin Talal Islamic Studies program at Harvard University. Thomas Jefferson Quran examines the intersection during the nation's founding era of the two continuous themes in culture wars, the relationship of Islam to America, and proper relationship between church and state. The story it tells ought to be familiar to most Americans and is familiar to historians of nations' founding. And yet, by using Islam as her book's touchstone, Spielberg brings illuminating freshness to an oft-told tale. Just like it's a little red book called The War of Ferdinand and Isabella. Right in the introduction, it tells you so much. That's why I be telling my brothers and sisters, I said, they can be mad all they want to. I know it's paid trolls on here, but they only gonna get so far. That's why I be laughing with people. I be like, dude, you got on here on my page as a willing obligor. And then all I do is have my IT guy get on there and be like, well, this is Big Brother Satellite say he's pinking right here. We shouldn't be wasting our time doing that. We should have other things to do if no one here to learn. But let me give you the introduction of what she said. Watch this, y'all, and we're going to go to the next piece because I'm on good time. One rainy April morning in 2011, I requested Thomas Jefferson Quran from the Rare Book Library and the Library of Congress. Now, when I talk about the Library of Congress, when I go back, I'm going to do a whole lecture in the Library of Congress. And then I'm going to show y'all where the Royal Archives are. It's another place where I have the pleasure to study. And I'm going to take y'all, and I'm going to go to the Philosophical Research Society. Once I talk to my professor, I'm going to see can I get access back to the Orthodox Catholic Church, where they got all the pictures of the Russian icons in the back. I'm telling you, watch. I'm going to show you for your face. You're going to see what they have, what they pray to, with all the artifacts, with all the pictures that cost stacks, thousands of dollars. Even some of the reprints cost thousands. But outside, tulips blaze in bright patches of red around the Capitol building. The flowers reminded me of their origin in the Ottoman Empire. So when you start reading the War of Ferdinand and Isabella, you'll be like, you'll be like, damn. The Sultan have first sent them as diplomatic gifts to European rulers in the 16th century. And by the mid-17th, the trade in the bulbs of these plants had reached a frenzied pitch in the Netherlands. Jefferson would add them to his garden at Monticello in 1806. And so it was, through the contact with who? Muslims long ago. This stunning flower had eventually reached North America, where it now reigns as a sign of spring. And that's why a lot of hateful people, that's a different nationality, I'll be like, well, you think y'all are everyone. Dude, I ain't say we better. I'm not saying I'm better. But history proved that Arab is you and I. Bertrand Thomas tell you what the true Arab is. A-R-A-P. Vladimir Dale's dictionary tell you what the ancient Arab is. I show y'all this on my pages. I got the documents. I lecture this. What you mad at? The book of watch. I'm gonna show y'all all this. And then it's a book by Adar. I have to pull that out too. And to show you that where the Book of Mormon get all that stuff from. By Adar. But they try to discredit it, but you can't. Watch, I'm gonna show y'all. Summoned with nothing more than a request and a library card and a relevant call number, the 2 volumes of Jefferson Quran arrived unceremoniously at my desk in less than 10 minutes. I sat amazed. A national treasure was mine to pursue. As a historian and a citizen, I thought for years about what Jefferson Quran might have meant, and I had the pleasure to read it, and I got Thomas Jefferson Quran over there. I'm telling you, I lectured, and everybody know I'm telling the truth. Suddenly, I could touch the brown leather bindings and hear the slight crackle of the yellow pages as I turned them, blah, 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 blah. But she telling you about the Quran. Like they knew they had the Quran. The Quran protest against a proposed mosque in New York is so much that you can see in that part of history that they're not going to talk about. Oh, yeah. This is another piece of history that I lectured about. The theft of African prophecy by the Catholic Church. The first prophetess, Mami Wata. And they even got pictures of them in a Moorish coat of arms. All in the history. It's known. Everybody know what I'm talking about. It's so much. You know? It's so much. Just like the god Artemis, how they try to tell you, how they try to whitewash it, the Artemis, and they try to make it all. That's here, the god Artemis. That's where it comes from. I'm telling you. But in Maccabees, they try to whitewash the history books. I'm telling you. You know, now watch this, with all respect, because I don't give up on our culture. I just tell y'all when I always say the copy chew, because the Levitical Jews, with all respect, just as the Muslim Arabs, both claim Abraham, right, whom was neither Arab nor Jew, as their divine ancestor. These Jews also claim that their Hebrew prophets parallel those of the Sibyls. However, they do not answer why the Jews alter the prophecies of the Sibyls made from their Amphi, from their temple in Palestine, just to assure the hegemony of their fire god, Yahweh Jehovah, over the Christian Jesus. They plagiarize and publish, in particular, Sibylline books, number 3 and number 4 and 5, and widely circulated their own corrupted versions of these sacred oracles in the name of Jehovah. It ain't no disrespect. I can show y'all history. I'm not telling you what to believe in, but I'm a historian. And I don't let nobody give up on my culture. I still deal with my Orisha, Santeria, Elegua, all of it. Remember, Higgins tells us that the etymology root of Jehovah, I-E-U-E or I-E-Y-E, had been deliberately disguised to conceal that it was ancient praise word for Krishna, the I-E or the Jah per se. It also the symbol atop the Omphi temple at Delphi, and whose image was found in the ancient temple ruins at Thebes. In other words, when this faction of so-called Hebrews broke away from the divine African mother, they deliberately disguised their ancestral connection to her. And the Oanes, who have their ancient root and actually in the Ethiopian India, according to him, it was actually Krishna, who the Sibyls are said to come after Buddha, as the next incarnation of the sun god. I just like to say a joke. When this, you know, the European, the Albion, the Christian, whatever, no matter what color they are, they'll say, well, before I met you, you would believe it in the sun. And I say, hell, well, at least the sun is real. Because if everybody acting like this color act like they stupid, and when we talk about when he gonna return, what he gonna return as? If we're not gonna tell the truth of it, hell, I mean, little pun. But these Jews further altered the oracles and placed into the mouths of their own prophets, proclaimed themselves as the persecuted and the chosen people, for whom the divine African mother, now changed to Yahweh Jehovah, was referring. No disrespect. Man, I did this in academia, the Roman theologian, Tertullian, circa 160 to circa 230, even amidst that, I quote, eloquently with a servotone. Fact check me. Clearly the people in the first century should know, right? Okay, watch this. The civil prophecies was ancienter, ER, than all the heathen learning. Remember in the book of Maccabees, the heathen tried to whitewash themselves in the history books. The Gentile. Who was the Gentile? I ain't say it had nothing to do with no color, did I? That told real events, and whose words you have put into the mouths of your prophets instead of the demons. And by this time, African deities were as a rule referred to as the Christianized daemons, aka demons, a Greek word actually meaning spirit or familiar, I told y'all when I get the Anglo-Saxon dictionary and they etymology, and you see what white mean, evil, devil, it's them. It's certain descriptions, but what fits in the context? Boom. Then you be like, well, damn, I see why this was played so hard. Why they try to say this and this and that, and you were cursed. Nope, nope, nope. You see who implemented how to take the light off of that. Well, let's proceed. No disrespect to no one. No disrespect to no one. But more profoundly, what is being implied is above, is an admission that the biblical books claim to have been written by Hebrew prophets may have actually been prophecies of symbols. If you can find stuff in the Bible and you say, oh, this is the Epic of Gilgamesh, this is the Enu Elis, you'll be like, wait a minute. And then you'll be like, well, this comes from this, and you'll start tracing things. You'll be like, well, wait a minute. I'm about to show you. The Jews is attempting to disguise the African pagan heathen origin of the symbols, eliminating them as being of Persian, Aryan descent of the Zoroastrian order. Y'all know what Zoroastrian order is? However, when one considers the philosophy of Zoroaster, a fiercely nationalistic and virulent misogynistic Iranian prophet who hated women and predicted that most were doomed to go to hell, one can appreciate the utter absurdity and recklessness of such a historic cover-up. The Roman Church, in their ignorance and ambition, acquired the the Jews' corrupted version until one hardly distinguished one forgery from another. When you talk about Flavius Josephus or the Pisos family, I can show you that most of that stuff that you think is real is all hogwash. And the only reason why I can say this because I did this in academia. Point blank, not wanting to acknowledge the prophecies as being forged to establish the foundation of Christianity, the Christian papacy forbade the reading of the Bible entirely. Then in an attempt at covering all their bases, the historically documented the most famous of these symbols as being white, virgin, saved, pure, and Christ-inspired, their official justification being this agitation of the devil. Remember, they always try to put you out of the devil. And the replies of the idols lasted until the coming of Christ, our Lord. So they say, until the coming of Christ, everything that you believe in, your saints and everything was evil. And they Lord had to come slay your pagan shit. Excuse my candor. Ain't that a blip? Okay, if that's the case, why in the Bible they leave all the pagan stuff in there? They want you, we'll give you this, that's to believe in Christianity. We'll give you Halloween and Christmas and what else? With the rabbit, with the chicken egg. Easter, all that stuff. That's pagan. That's Yule. That's Yule, the log. Dealing with Santa Claus, who brought the olive branch as a sign that the tempest of adultery has passed. I got a little bit more to give you all of his. Nonetheless, though the Jews and the Christians were feuding rivals, it was in both of their interests to suppress the prophetic power, influence, and worship of the divine African mother as a final act of apostasy. Just like the Moors that everybody be calling Grand Sheik, and he's the Grand Sheik. Well, we also called Grand Sheik first started talking, he was talking about the Zodiacus. He was talking about the woman. And then once they figured out how to trick Negroes with that Roger Elvick shit, they gonna act like they some damn Moorish conflict and then act like they not. With the bald-headed dude Shalimar Bey. Come on, man. Don't be mad at what I'm saying. In other words, the Silvers were now preaching against the very source of their own divine authority. I can show y'all all through this. Let me show y'all a little piece of let me see if I can find the little Moorish part. Because I want you to read it for yourself, because there's so many just boom, boom, boom bullets in here. Let me see, can I find it? Here, look on this side, the first astrologer. We had all this stuff. You see that Alex Crowley? That be above Alex Crowley? All our science, they steal all your science, and then Negroes be thinking, oh, they're talking about some Baphomet evil. The Baphomet is written Kabbalistically. But these Negroes with a little light, they always give it to the European because they scared of ghosts. The Baphomet is Gnostic, written Kabbalistically. Temp, Hob, Abs, Abba. The Queen Mother in ancient history. Listen to this. I'm going to show y'all three figures. Sybil Queen Mother, Triple Crown, as Black Diana. She was worshipped as triple-headed Janus, just like when you see in masonry, you see the eagle. The double collar scarf represents the twin serpents of Mami. The next figure in the second one under it, Sybil Prophetess on Moor's coat of arms. On Moor's coat of arms, no military leader will conduct tactical operations without first consulting a Sybil and making the necessary appropriations to Mami and the ancestors. Long before the use of European saints, images of Mami or a Sybil was worn on a coat of arms or hung outside of businesses for protection and good luck. When I take y'all to, in Europe, in the Netherlands, you're gonna see Saint Maurice, all that stuff is there. You're gonna see that Red Cross. You're gonna see all that stuff. Sybil Queen on a Moor coat of arms, wearing six-pointed crown of Mami Tanit. All African queens were Sybil's, but not all Sybil's were queens or prophetesses. Just like when I say, watch this. Just like when I say, all religious Muslims and Christians that's black is Moors. But all Moors are not Christian or Muslim, because you can believe in understand something else. I hope you caught what I'm saying. But look at the pictures. They have this stuff in museums. I'm telling you, this stuff be in museums. I know I'm telling the truth. Everyone, they whitewashed. They even whitewashed the god Artemis. They got all this stuff. They be knowing it. They be having everything that's yours. But let me proceed, because I'm getting hungry. Remember I always talk about Albert Churchward, Gerald Massey, all them. Those were Europeans that told the truth. Albert Churchward. This is called Signs and Symbols as a Primordial Man. This is called Signs and Symbols as the Primordial Man. You need this. So when I be hearing brothers on the internet, especially brothers that gun-ho, Noble Drew Ali, writers, with all respect, because I give anybody respect, you know, but when you so gun-ho, and you say, well, this goes, that stuff, it just hurt my ear. It hurt my ear, because I said, you don't know what the compass and the square is? You don't know that these symbols is yours? Some people just adopted them, like religious people adopted your fez, your turban, your yarmulke. They just adopted it. They adopted. So when I talk about the signs and symbols of the primordial man, what is the sign and symbol of the primordial man? Clearly, when I say that, you should understand. They told us. All these Europeans told you what this sign was about. You know, Albert Churchward was best known British disciple of Gerald Massey, whose 6-volume works, Ancient Egypt, The Light of the World, volumes, A Book of the Beginnings, 2 volumes, Natural Genesis, 2 volumes, set in motion a new radical approach to the history of African civilization and the African contribution to the social thought that went into the making of the world's 3 major religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. In more science, we call those the Triple Rose, the Paraclete, the Fatimid, and the Jerusalem. And the Christian per se. This is what I'll be telling people. But then we listen to these characters like we some groupies that say, well, that's European stuff and all those signs and symbols. No, they're your symbols. They adopted them. You just don't know mathematics. It's our craft. I tell people I'm 99 degrees. Ancient writer Memphis and Mizraim. It's your science. It's difficult to assess the value of Dr. Churchward's great contribution to history without referring to his master teacher, Gerald Massey. Massey did not begin his career searching for Africa's place in the world history. He was an agnostic whose intention was to prove that the basis of European civilization was created outside of Europe by people that some Europeans later characterized as savages without a history or a culture. His search led him to where? Egypt. Just like I showed you the European Mason. Where? El Elyon, I'm telling y'all. This is the science we need. Where he found proof that Western culture was, in fact, African in origin, the larger portion of it coming mainly from the Nile Valley. His disciple, Albert Churchward, continued his important work, and in his book, takes his search into another dimension. Men like Gerald Massey, Albert Churchward were battling against a wall of European misinformation about the contributions of non-European people toward the civilization of the world, and only a few radical European scholars were able to understand the full impact of Churchward's work at the time this book was written. What is the essential message of Albert Churchward today, in an era of new scholarship and new and bold challenges to old concepts about the history of the world and the contribution of African people toward the origins and development of world civilization and culture? Albert Churchward began his work with an examination of Freemasonry. Listen to this. So all the Moors out here playing the game. I love Noble Drew Ali. Well, Noble Drew Ali didn't do this. Okay, fine. That's what all Noble Drew, he knew. But still, I'm telling you, Noble Drew Ali was under the science. Just like Elijah Muhammad was. Just like Farrakhan is. Just like most other Negroes was. Just like Dr. Ben. Just like James Small. Then when I'm telling you, they all was. Just like Carter G. Woodson. What we talking about? The Freemasonry, the rituals, the signs and the symbols, and their contribution to their social thought. What he's saying is, in essence, is that Freemasonry was a part of the Nile Valley civilization. By extension, Freemasonry was a part of the Nile Valley. By extension, he is also saying that the higher learning, which was carefully guarded at earlier times in history, gave birth to secret societies. In these secret societies, there existed the educational approach that would lead to the establishment of the world's first universities. What he says, in fact, is that the origin of the university comes out of the Nile civilization. African people developed signs and symbols as a way of communication and delivering messages. It is most unfortunate that most people who today are members of secret societies have no in-depth knowledge of the history of the society and the unifying role it played in the early intellectual life of the Nile Valley. It is through Churchward's examination of most of the known cultures of the people of this day that the signs and symbols of the primordial man is revealed. At this juncture, we need to be reminded that the Nile Valley stretched over 4,000 miles into the body of Africa, and that the creation of the Nile Valley civilization cannot be attributed only that portion of North Africa that the Greeks called Egypt. The Nile River was the world's largest great cultural highway, bringing people and cultures out of the body of inner Africa. This great cultural migration led to the peopling of Egypt, making Egypt a composite civilization, comprised of different African people who dwelt along the banks of the Nile River. The civilization that developed in Egypt was the culmination of civilization in Africa. None of the components that went into the making of what we call Egypt came from Europe or Western Asia, commonly called the Middle East. At this point in history, we cannot discuss Europe because there was no Europe in the name and as a political entity of the world. Europe didn't exist. There was no mention of Europe in early ancient history because at that time, Europe was very busy trying to extract herself from the impact of the last of the Ice Age. Surviving and just staying alive was the most serious thing the Europeans were engaged in at that time in early history. And in connection with this science, there was also a need to examine the work of the greater American disciple of Gerald Massey. Write these down. I got all this stuff. Alvin Boyd Kuhn. Kuhn is best known for his book, Who is the King of Glory, which is, in my opinion, this the author, and mine too. It's one of the best books on early glory. Which is one of the best books on early Christianity. Shadow of a Third Century deals with the Conference of Nicaea and its aftermath, especially the opinion of an African theologian known in history as Saint Augustine. In referring to the European participation in the Conference of Nicaea, St. Augustine said, in effect, and I quote eloquently with the silver tongue, "These people are trying to revamp and give back to us a concept we have for over 3,000 years. St. Augustine is identifying the early African origin of the concept that the Europeans will later call Christianity, is indicating that this concept existed among the African people. Without the dogma and formalization, before the birth of Europe, in the introduction to Who is King of Glory, Alvin Boyd Kuhn has this to say, and I quote eloquently with the silver tongue: "The pick that struck the Rosetta Stone in the loamy soil of the Nile Delta in 1796 also struck a mighty blow at historical Christianity, for it released the voice of a long voiceless past to refute nearly every one of Christianity's historical claims with a wrenching negative. The cryptic literature of old Egypt, sealed in silence when Christianity took its rise, but haunting it like a specter, and the 3rd century now stalks forth like a living ghost out of the tomb to point its long finger of accusation at a faith that has too long thriving on falsity. For that literature now rises out of oblivion to proclaim the true source of every doctrine of Christianity as Egyptian. Remember, George G.M. James got a book called Stolen Legacy. All Greek history is nothing but regurgitated Egyptian science, the product and heritage of a remote past. The books of old Egypt now unroll the sagas of wisdom, which announce the inexorable truth that not a single doctrine, rite, tenet, or usage in Christianity was a new contribution to the world religion, but that every article and practice of that faith was a disfigured copy of ancient Egyptian systemism. I'm all for you. Noble, Stolen Legacy. I got them. I told you. I have a whole lot. I give it to you for pennies. Every book I talk about, I convert it to a PDF. You can go to Office Max and Staples. They'll print it and bind it for you for cheap. Or we'll bind it because we got the tools to do it. Small donation, I'll give it to you. I'll send it to you as an ebook. One of my muftis will do it. That's why I be telling people, anything you need, I got it. Watch this. I just got to get this, then we're going to move on because I got to get out of here. The entire Christian Bible, the creation, the legend, the descent into the Exodus from Egypt, the ark, the flood allegory, Israelite history, Hebrew prophecy, and poetry, gospel, epistle, and revelation, imagery, all are now proven to have been transmission of ancient Egypt scrolls and papyri into the hands of later generations, which knew neither their true origin nor their fathomless meaning. But the sheer fact that even amid the murks of ignorance and superstition, the mere ghost, shell, the husk, and a shadow of Egypt's wisdom inspired religious piety to extremes of faith and zealotry in singular, attestation of the original power and majesty. Noble, you good? You good. I'm telling you, that's what I'm here for. From the scroll of papyri, 5,000 to 10,000 years old, there comes stalking forth to the view of the whole story of the Egyptian Jesus, raised from the dead, and the Egyptian Lazarus, at an Egyptian Bethany, with 2 Egyptian Marys present, the non-historical prototype of the indecent related only, in the Gospel of John. But as you were saying, Noble Carlin, that's what I'm here for. I'm here. I took this wisdom in my academic endeavors. I stayed up all night in the library and I converted I'm not no gatekeeper. Now, I can be a gatekeeper if I just show up all the books, all the expensive books that I'll be showing that cost stacks on Amazon and sell them for and say, they charge, but I don't. That's why I converted them to ebooks. That's my pitch, where I don't even have to pitch it on the college campus because they understand. They say, you ain't got to try to sell nothing to us, Sheik. That's why you're here. But I have to pitch this to misnomer black people, and there shouldn't be no pitch. You're not going to buy these books for thousands of dollars. Nobody not going to read them to you. They cost thousands of dollars. You should want the ebook. You should want me to print and bind it. It's just the book, and I have the original books. And most of the books that I printed, that I have them. I convert them for you can have them. That's why I ask for donation when I say, I want you to have them. I don't care if the book costs thousands of dollars on Amazon, and just like a Golden Age of the Moors, a used book could be $500, and a person really want it, and I say I'll print it and bind it for you for this. But if you want the PDF, and right now in my ministry, I'll give it to you for a donation. But if you go on my company pages, that's my for-profit business. But when I minister, when I be telling people, and when I be lecturing, I be trying to put it in people's hands for pennies at a dollar. It's worth a value. Now, whatever you do with it, you should bless somebody too. It's like an NFT. It's like an NFT. I had a European student say, Sheik, do you know what you're doing? They're like, this is an NFT. I'm telling you, when the book Tavistock Institution of Human Engineering by John Coleman. The book fluctuate, but at one point the book was $4,000 on Amazon, a used book. And I was letting all the college students get it for a small donation, and I was lecturing it. They were like, nobody doing this. And then a lot of college students, they was printing and buying it themselves. Or they had me print and buying it, or they went to Office Max and Staples. But then when I showed them that I'll do it for the same price as Office Max and Staples, they allowed me to do it. They're like, why would I get the money to Staples, Office Max and Staples, and I know you, and you got the same equipment, and I'm going to pay for it. If I'm going to pay for it, they said they might as well get it from me. And these regular students. That's why I said I'm not going to die poor and broke. People buy books, and I have something to offer, and I'm not even popular to my people that say they Moors and study, but I'm popular to other people. And I can re-educate the whole world. I can build your whole library. With how? With donations. With how? Donations. And then I show you how I print and buy the books. I print and buy the whole books. I print the books like this. It's the whole book. What are we talking about? That's why I be laughing at my people. I say, come on, people. But in a collective way, Gerald Massey, the master, and his disciple Albert Churchward and Albert Boyd Kahn have revealed the early African origins of the three major Western religions. All of these concepts were developed before the Bible was written and before the figure in history known as Jesus Christ was born. Yeah, color too, all that, yep. If the book is in color, a lot of books don't be in color. So when a person be wanting the book, I say, yeah, the cover will be the book, but pages is just black and white. A lot of books are just the science. That's why when a person say, well, I want the book in color, and I say clearly the book, maybe the cover will just be color, but the picture and stuff be black and white. Unless the book in color. And then if the book in color, then of course I charge just like any place. If you want it in color, they charge for color or black and white. Depends on how you want it. But a lot of books, they in black and white. Is there some books in color? Yes. But they were written before the Bible and before Jesus Christ was born. Alvin Boyd Kahn's book, The Lost Christianity, also needs to be read as an extension of the views expressed in the above quoted works by Dr. Joseph Ben. John G. Jackson and other modern scholars have reconsidered this information and prepared it for the use and understanding of students and teachers of our time. Students and teachers of our time. I refer you to Dr. Ben's, Dr. Jaconan's book, The African Origins of the Major Western Religions. I got all those. And John G. Jackson's Man, God, and Civilization. We have all those. In conclusion, as they say in legal profession, I'll rest my case. And I can rest my case with no rebuttal on that. I don't want to stay too far in that, but it's so much. It's so much. It's so much. This right here, the view of the Hebrews, the Book of the Mormon plagiarized from all right here. This where Joseph Smith plagiarized the Book of the Mormon. It comes from the view of the Hebrews. The Book of Mormon tell you who you are, but most brothers never read. It's right in here. That's why I'll be laughing. I'll be like, man, I have a conversation with you. It's right in here. That's where it comes from, the view of the Hebrews. I gotta keep going. I gotta speed it up a little bit. Remember I tell you about the black Christian codes, where a lot of stuff you couldn't do in 1863. What all can we do? More per se is the Christ of Melchizedek. Yeah. It shall be unlawful for any church, society, or other body, or any persons to grant any license or other authority to any slave or free person of color to preach or exhort or otherwise officiate in church matters. B, and the same is hereby repealed. Now remember, the Dred Scott Law was never abolished. It was illegal to be a Negro, black, and color, or African American. So why would you go get a license and all that to them, and they treat you no matter if you free or nothing, you still a slave? So why would you deal with that? Those were the black Christian codes. I'm telling y'all, man. No master shall oblige or suffer his Negro or Negroes to work on the Lord's day. He shall permit or oblige them to attend at some time in the day for instruction in the Christian religion, which the Protestant ministers, the minister or minister shall on all occasions inculcate in Negroes the natural obligations to a married state where there are female slaves cohabiting with them, and an absolute forbearance of blaspheming the name of God by profane cursing or swearing. So when I show you all the slavery, Protestant Christian history, and those slaves, those Negro slaves thought when they would be baptized by those Protestants, you were still a nigger slave. Excuse my candor. No person of color, whether free or slave, shall be allowed to preach, to exhort, or join in any religious exercise with any person of color, either free or slave. There being more than 7 persons of color present, they shall first obtain a written certificate from 3 ordained ministers of the gospel of their own order, licensed not to be for a longer term than 6 months, and to be revoked at any time by the persons granted. So the European Albion Trelodite preacher gonna give you your license, no disrespect, and take it back from you. That's why they had the overseer to tell you how to preach slavery to your people, to preach that Deuteronomy, you slave and all that. No, not me. Nope, not me. You could teach that all you want to. And then when I be giving history, well, Noble Drew Ali said this. Man, get Noble Drew Ali out your mouth. We're talking about history. Noble Drew Ali is not the author of history. I give credit to our prophet Noble Drew Ali. That's like I give credit to every historian. But Noble Drew Ali wasn't no historian on all levels. He knew what he knew. He knew what he knew. But when we talk about American history, and here we have scholars that might not even identify the Moorish history. Just like the lecture I shared with my brothers and sisters, the brother at the university with all those brothers there, I'm gonna share it before I leave, for y'all can pull it up. Gave that beautiful lecture. This is by David Imhotep, PhD, about who was here in Americas and what the people saw and what they saw. This is a real person. This is the real person in the museum. That's in the London Museum. This is in the London Museum. So when these goofballs be arguing, I said, dude, why are we going to argue with a person that's not historical? I've done lectures. I've lectured with a plethora of people. I love Noble Drew Ali. But that's where it stops with history. I'm not stupid. You know? And we were Moors way before our prophet. I give credit to Noble Drew Ali bringing in the Moorish Zion Temple of America. I give credit to him resurrecting a piece of history. I give credit to that. I give credit to our prophet. The 100 Major Facts of the Negro by J.A. Rogers. We then talk about every at so-called black university, you should have all J.A. Rogers books, Sheikh Anta Diop books, Ivan Van Sertima, John Henry Clark. Let me just give y'all a little bit of this. Who's in here? And J.A. Rogers, I got all his books. I got all J.A. Rogers books. That people be afraid of Alex Crowley. If Alex Crowley was alive, all his books ain't nothing but twist-sided Moorish science. And he'd sit on his hands if he was alive. The followers of Adam Blavatsky with that theosophy, they'll be quiet too. And I ain't being arrogant. I'm just telling people what it is, because I'm tired of people giving our science to people that ain't nothing but transcribers. I'm tired of it. The Grenadi, a Negro race, lived in Europe at least 12,000 years ago. To complete Grenadi skeletons are in the museums of Monaco. Near Monte Carlo, abundant traces of their culture have been unearthed in South and Central Europe. Elam, a mighty Negro civilization of Persia, flourished about 2900 BC, and is perhaps older than Egypt and Ethiopia. One of its later Negro kings, Kedar, Ketua, conquered Chaldea and Babylon and brought back to his capital Susa richest treasures, among which was famous statue of the goddess Nana. Later it became the capital of Cyrus, the great Darius. Susa and Susanna of the Bible, where Esther, the Jewess, sought the favor of King Assuerus of Persia and Ethiopia. Ceophas, a Negro, built the Great Pyramid, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It's about 451 feet high, 2,500,000 blocks of granite, each 2.5 tons. It covered 13 acres. There were at least 18 Ethiopian or unmixed Negroes, rulers of ancient Egypt, the best known of which is Panik, Piankhi. Research it. Leaving the country in Central Africa. Pinaki conquered all Egypt to the mouth of the Nile in 750 BC. The Ganges, the sacred river in India, is named after an Ethiopian king of that name who conquered Asia as far as the river. The most ancient lineage in the world is that of the Ethiopian royal family. It is said to be older than the king of George IV by 6,130 years. The Emperor Haile Selassie I ruler of Ethiopia, traces his ancestry to King Solomon and Queen Sheba, and beyond that to Cush, 6,280 BC. I'm just telling you what it says. Negroes lived in America thousands of years before Columbus. Central America monuments show numerous carvings of them as gods. When Columbus came to the New World, Negroes had been crossing from America to South America, a distance of 1,600 miles. The first white men to reach the Americas mainland tell of seeing Negroes. Columbus, who visited South America, said that he had heard of them there. The present Negro race of Africa perhaps did not originate there, but Asia and Oceania. The earliest inhabitants of Africa were not black but brown. Today, the people of mixed and unmixed Negro descent living in Asia and Oceania probably exceed in number the present Negro population of Africa. India has millions of Negroes. The purest Negro types are in Southern Asia. In 1923, Dr. Joseph Rock, United States Department of Agriculture, discovered a hitherto unknown Negro race, the Nakis, the Nakhis, 200,000 in number, in South China. In 1934, EWP Chenery discovered an unknown Negro people in Ghana, near Australia. He reports that they have a civilization superior to the neighbors who live under the white rule. In the United States Army draft in the World War I, the Negro proved physically fitter than the white man, no disrespect. For every 100 men physically examined, the ratio of colored men found physically qualified for general military service was subsequently higher than the ratio of the misnomer white men by just 5%, namely 74.60 against 69.71. Illiteracy and intelligence. The people of South Europe, including Italy, and most of those of Eastern Europe, including Russia, are more illiterate than the Negroes of the United States. In 70 years, Negroes' illiteracy has fallen off about 80%. In 1870, it was 82%. In 1930, 16.3. African illiteracy is 3 times higher than the white one. Never are surprising comparisons. For instance, the Negroes of California, Minnesota, New York, Nevada, South Dakota, Oregon, Washington are less illiterate than the native whites of white parentage in Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Kentucky, Alabama, Louisiana, Mexico, Oregon, New York, South Dakota. Negroes are less illiterate than Mississippi whites. The Negroes of these 7 states are less illiterate by 100 to 400% than the foreign-born whites of all the states. In the United States Army intelligence tests during World War I, the Negroes of Pennsylvania, New York, Illinois, Ohio led the whites of Mississippi, Kentucky, Arkansas, and Georgia by from 1 to 7%. So when we talk about intelligence, 2 centuries ago, the Negroes of South Africa and the Northern Europeans both practiced a form of cannibalism that was strikingly similar. Of the vital organs of slaying foes, the Negroes made a moody or charm against evil. Sometimes they ate the heart of a brave man, believing that it gave added courage. The Europeans would roast or dry the bodies of hanged criminals. Of these, they made a mumia, a medicine for internal and external use, which was supposed to have particular curative harm. In 1683, when the Germans defeated the Turks at Ophene, Switzerland, thousands of surrendered Turks were treated in that manner. An army surgeon who was present wrote, and I quote, "None were given grace, all were massacred, and in most cases they were skinned. The fatty parts were roasted, and the genitals cut off, dry, and put into big sacks. And this is, they made precious muna." Regular cannibalism existed in Germany as late to 1650. Hell, they ate Nat Turner. They be mad when I say that. Oh, I might get banned when I say that. Research the book, The Delectable Negro. The Delectable Negro. So they tried to ban me when I showed the book without sanctuary. I had to do it on YouTube. But they'll ban me when I say things like that. Estevinco, a Negro from Morocco, was one of the party of the 4 to cross the North American continent in 1536 for the first time. The journey took 9 years. In 1539, he added an expedition that discovered Arizona. And New Mexico. Estevinco's travels served to open up the Southwest and the states west of Florida as far as the Pacific. The founder of the city of Chicago was Baptiste Point de Ciboure, a Negro in 1779. Tipo Tiba, a Negro trader in slaves and ivory from Zanzibar, East Africa, was the first civilized man to penetrate the center of Africa. He explored the territory nearly as large as the United States. Stanley Wiseman, Cameron, and other white explorers followed in his path. I can go on and on. Science and invention. Jane Ernest Massler, a Dutch West Indian Negro, living in Lynn, Massachusetts, invented the first machine for sewing the soles of shoes to the upper. This invention, which was 11 years in the making, revisionized the industry and gave shoe supremacy to the United States. George Washington Carver, y'all know that. Tuskegee Institute, one of the world's greatest architectural chemists, awarded the Roosevelt Medal, distinguished service for the field from the peanut, extracted 285 products. Born a slave, Thomas Edison once offered him a large salary to take charge in one of the Edison laboratories, but he refused to continue the work he began with Booker T. Washington at Tuskegee Institute. Jews and Ethiopians. The Mohammedans believed that Moses was a black man. Their Bible, the Quran, said so. God told Moses to do what? Put his hand into his bosom. The Quran says that it came out white. The commentators declared that Moses' hand could not have been white before, and that the miracle Jehovah intended was making the black skin white and then turning it black again. The Septuagint, or the Greek Bible, agrees with your Quran. The characters of the Bible are largely Negroes. The Jews were slaves to the Egyptians for 430 years almost. Only 70 Jews went to Egypt with Jacob. The Bible says that 600,000 men left with Moses, which according to Josephus meant a total of 3,154,000 with women and children. For the larger number to have left mixing with the Egyptians, who were black, must have been taking place on a vast scale, because about 12 million Negroes were brought to the New World. Imagine how much of their original color and culture and later would take them should they return to Africa, and you realize how much of the original Jew remained in only those 70 Jews after the centuries. Tacitus, the Roman historian of 90 AD, says that the Romans of his day popularly believed that the Jews, which then abandoned in Europe, came from Ethiopia, the land of the blacks. The present white color of European and American Jews is very likely due to the same cause, and the fair skin and the straight hair of large numbers of Negroes. The Bible classes the Ethiopian and the Jew together. Are ye not as the children of Ethiopian unto me, O children of Israel, says the Lord? Chaldea, the land in which the Jews originated, was also a Negro land. Hence Abraham might also have been black. The Phaleshes, or the Negro Jews, the Igbos, the Ethiopia, all that, led by Queen Judith, put the line of Solomon and Queen Sheba off the throne of Ethiopia in 937 AD and ruled for 40 years. The Phaleshes asserted that they are the original Jews. They called themselves Beta Israel, or the chosen people. The Negro Jews of India are not permitted to enter the same synagogue Negroes as the white ones, nor to bury their dead in the same cemeteries. I'm telling you, Imhotep. I can go on and on and on, but I want to show y'all this little pictorial. When I say the copy copied you and everything. What you mean, Sheik? Everything. Everything. You see this picture right here? You would think this the Ku Klux Klan. But this ain't no Ku Klux Klan. These are the black saints in Seville. Get a clear look. This is what I've been telling you. The copy copied you. We can't be afraid of nothing. The Klan talk about they Christian. And that's why I said I'm not rocking with no bull crap. Because I don't teach hate. My God that I serve don't teach no hate. And I'm made in a creative image. I ain't no slave. Pictures below in a parade of Seville, the Negro order. Today, the descendants of these Spanish Negroes are quite bleached from mixing with their white neighbors. But the old Negro tradition remained. The Negro Church of Nostra Senora de los Angeles in Barrio Carmona is still maintained by them. Priests, guides, and others in Seville informed me that the garb is exactly like that of centuries ago. For earlier information of these negritos, as they are called in Seville, see Zunji's Annals of Sevilla, published in Madrid in 1677, and I have these. Later, the Negroes rose to a position of prominence and had a count, after whom one of the streets is still named. If the originators of the Ku Klux Klan did not copy the garb of these Negroes, then the coincidence is really amazing, ain't it? Ain't it? Ain't it really amazing, ain't it? Ain't it? That's why I be saying. And if somebody starts saying something, I'll pull out the Quran. Yeah, what you say, Sheik? The Quran. The Kloar. The Quran. They just put an L in it. Yes, I'm telling you, just like Hitler's regiment studied Islam, just the same way the KKK studied the Quran. They are order. That's why I don't get treated like that. I got my master, I got my undergrad from Clear University, where the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan live. I'm telling you what I know. They study the Quran. The Quran. And when you look at how they charter set up, you'll be like, well, damn, this look familiar. Duh. Remember this book I told y'all? This is the book that Alex Haley plagiarized from some goddamn stupid ass, some roots. Oh, we from slavery. And then a damn black college professor got kicked that. This like some required learning. Read some damn, watch some stupid roots. Or read some fake Willie Lynch letter. This right here. So anybody that's misnomer black and they done made documentaries, because this all on TV. Misnomer lying Negroes talk about, and Alex and Kunta Kinte, that was our ancestors. You lying because the European made it up. And the European is part of the Philosophical Research Society, like I'm part of. And the European that wrote Behold the Pale Horse. And Zachariah Stincher that wrote all that fake Anunnaki stuff. And Negroes done made documentaries and talk about some Kunta Kinte is their goddamn ancestor. A big freaking lie. Families that lied to their children. Officers, they done took some stuff that an Albion, a European, a Trelodite said no disrespect, made up, and it's fake. And Alex Haley got sued for plagiarizing from this book right here, from a European named Harold Colander. And if anybody right now here make your kid watch some Roots and they done made videos and documentary of it, damn you, because it's fake. And it comes from this European right here. So with that being said, thank y'all for taking time out for listening to little old me. My Empress came in, she's finna get down, so it's about time for me to get some vittles and me. But I'm telling y'all, I have a full library. Support your brother. Come to our temple and school. Don't watch me build our temple and school. Be a part of it. Be a part of it. It's not going to hurt none of us. Tell our friends. Get your temple. Get your feds. Get some religious regalia. We're getting ready to have our 5th annual Moorish Ball in Texas. Subscribe to our temple and school. Hit me up, brothers and sisters. Be a part of education and wisdom. We can build something beautiful. I love everybody, and we have the right to talk about our history. We have the right not to assimilate. We have the right to be private. We have the right to have our religious laws. Our meet and greet is going to be in March on the 20th, that weekend, March 20th in Texas. And, yeah, our Moorish Ball meet and greet, yep. And see, and most of our brothers, we got new regalia. Like, we already got member coats. But as y'all seen the Fruit of Islam with their regalia, that's what I've done for all my muftis. And y'all gonna see it. We got our patches and everything, because I like unity. I like synchronicity. And once we get our physical temple, I'm gonna start showing y'all stuff. If y'all go on my I Am Moorish Habit, the trainer page, I studied Wing Chun for years. I'm not a master, but I've learned a lot. I still study sticky hands. I still know the senseis. So a lot of that comes with the temple, with my personal training as well. And I'm gonna bring that, just like junior scouts. You know what I mean? Just like in Boy Scouts. I grew up in all that form of discipline. You know? So I call it just like an Eagle Scout. When you see your SAS with all your affiliate, with all your accomplishments on it, pretty much that's why I'm gonna bring young men and young women up. You know? That's what this comes. That's what comes with me. I love order. I'm disciplined in military, tactical stuff, boxing, armed contact with weapons and knives. I don't like guns, but whatever. Hand-to-hand contact, physical fitness. But we have our own attire. And I want brothers and sisters to be a part of our temple and school. The same way the nation was built. We can build our own. Yeah, we on the grassroots, and I would hope everybody be a part of this. We can't let the small people that lied to us and did this for personal gain. I'm telling you, this is this is what the Creator wants us to do, and I know we can do it with the money we give to Uncle Sam. I know we can have unity. I know we can stand and have our own fraternal order, our own religious laws, because we got our own charter, and teach something right. and be synchronized. And when brothers, just like, why you think they had uniform, well, I like uniform in school? Because everyone is on that same auspices and nobody is looking at nobody like this and that. Now, it's on you if you in shape and you keep your stuff together and you wear shirt stays so your shirt don't come out. But we have an attire. So when brothers and sisters see us, we have our coats, we have our jackets, and we have our attire. You know, our muftis of Allah, our BBT attire, you know, with our toppies. Of course we have our fez and our turban, but we have attire when we all together. And so I hope brothers really get with us, man. You good, man. And inbox me, man. Ask questions. Be a part of our temple in school. As I continue to show everybody stuff, there's so many buildings available in my city of Flint. There's so many buildings available in my noble city, Dantes, in St. Louis, because nobody move in our community. And these places are for dollars, and we can do a fundraising and raise the money that we give Uncle Sam and buy our building. And then that money keep coming in like that, we can keep the lights on. We can keep the lights on, we can have ministry, and we can produce. We have a place we can bring all our stuff, our infrastructure there, and we can continue to give donations. Yeah, and we work out. I mean, I'm telling you, I do boxing. Like, once we get our physical temple, everything that I do, I'm bringing it in the temple. I'm going to bring all the heavy bags, all the speed bags, all the workout stuff, all the laptops and stuff. We show the kids that want to do laptops. My Empress show people how to do coats and print. All those things we're going to bring in-house. We can do that. So I love y'all, man. Thank y'all for taking time out y'all day. Nobles, please hit me up. Get with your brother. Get your feds, get your turban, get some regalia, and let's continue to build this community and support something that's real. I love y'all and hold me accountable. And I can give everybody a tax and receipt. We can do this. Thank you. Peace.